Welcome to Kat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 239, The Help, a drama from 2011. And this has an 8.1 on 373,190 votes.
Kat loves this film, I'm just gonna kind of let her run rampant.
Sorry if this is long.
Sorry if it's long and I don't say that much. I'm just gonna say that now. Okay.
Yeah, I love it. I watch this movie all the time.
All the time.
Alright, so spoiler-free synopsis. In 1960s Mississippi, Southern Society girl Skeeter, or Eugenia Thielen is her real name, returns from college with dreams of being a writer. She turns her small town on its ear by choosing to interview the black women who have spent their lives taking care of prominent white families. Only Aibileen, the housekeeper of Skeeter's best friend, will talk at first. But as the pair continue the collaboration, more women decide to come forward, and as it turns out, they have quite a lot to say.
Yeah, that's a good synopsis.
Yes, it is.
It's a good one. Alright, so the director is Tate Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
He did The Help and The Girl on the Train.
I haven't seen that.
I haven't either, but...
I've heard it's decent.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too, but we'll see. And so our actors, we got Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, and Emma Stone.
And there's one other actor I want to mention just because she got so much praise for this movie. Jessica Chastain. She got quite a few awards for her performance in this film, so I just wanted to bring her up because she does an amazing job.
She plays Celia Foote.
Yes, she does.
Great job. I didn't recognize her at first. I'm like, is that really Jessica Chastain? And I'm like, okay, that's her. All right.
Yeah. Four actresses that we mentioned in this one. And literally the whole entire cast is phenomenal.
Agree.
Alright, so Rotten Tomatoes. Average rating is a 7. It has 75% on 216 critical reviews. 162 fresh and 54 rotten. I was not happy with that.
I say it should be higher.
Yeah, but, I mean, critics aren't always the nicest of people.
Nope.
And we do have a new kind of segment in this Rotten Tomatoes here. We're going to read 2 snippets of fresh reviews and 2 snippets of rotten reviews. So, the first fresh one, Kath Clark. Yes, it's a bit sentimental. Yes, some yaya sisterhood friendship cliches creep in. Yes, it glosses history. But it's also heartfelt, hilarious, and the cast is a dream team topped by Viola Davis. I do agree with pretty much all of that.
Yeah. I mean...
I've never seen Yaya Sisterhood, so I don't know about
that.
I haven't either.
I have
the rest of it
either.
I agree with. Lisa Kennedy, another fresh review. Thanks to a talented cast, starting with leads Emma Stone, Viola Davis, and Octavia Spencer, the movie is often entertaining, but The Help should have been challenging too. I think it was. They took what they could from the book, so I think it was challenging enough for what they had, because it was a long movie.
Yeah, it's a 2.5 hour film. The book is at least, 500 pages?
It's like 300 something. The audiobook is 18 hours. Almost 19 hours.
It's pretty small. That's why I'm thinking it's long. It's a nice, decent sized book.
Yeah. It's like 350, 60 pages. It's a pretty good sized book. So they did have to cut quite a bit out.
Not too much, though.
Just what they cut out was stuff that I wasn't very happy with anyways.
So that's fine.
But we'll get to that. Alright, the 2 rotten, Roxanne Gay. At one point, Minnie rhapsodizes about fried chicken and the solace of its preparation. I was convinced the movie was satirical. She does, and it's hilarious, and it is slightly satirical. So, you're not wrong.
But you gotta love Minnie. I mean, she's awesome.
And Joe Morgenstern said, "The Help takes us on a pop cultural tour that savors the picturesque and strengthens stereotypes it purports to shatter." I don't agree with that.
How does this strengthen stereotypes?
It shows the stereotypes of the 60s.
Yeah, but it doesn't really strengthen them.
No, it shows exactly what they were.
Especially in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes. So I don't agree with that at all. Alright, the consensus. Though arguably guilty of glossing over its racial themes, The Help rises on the strength of its cast, particularly Viola Davis, whose performance is powerful enough to carry the film on its own. I do agree with that. If they had a pretty not great cast and still had just Viola Davis for Aibileen, I think it would still be just as good of a movie.
Agreed. She's fantastic in this film.
Yes.
Like, top... She's a great actress anyways.
Yeah.
She's just phenomenal in this film.
Yes. I love her in How to Get Away with Murder. She is so powerful in that movie. Or that show. Not movie. The show.
TV show.
Yep. Alright, so the budget for this film was $25 million, which kind of shocked me. I thought it was a little bit bigger than that, but
okay,
guess not. The U.S. gross income was $169,708,112. Internationally, didn't make quite as much. Made $46,931,000. So worldwide, the total was $216,639,112. That's not that bad.
No, it's not.
It made its money back on opening weekend because it made $26,044,590. So it made more than its money back. And then overall, it made enough to be a profitable film.
Yes, because you usually want to double.
Yeah.
From what your profit was. I mean, your budget was.
Yeah. You typically do want to double the budget because if you don't double the budget, then that's not a good movie.
No, we've had some films like that too.
Yes. Alright, so its all-time domestic rank is 275, which is pretty high. We've had some
ones
very
in like thousands.
low movies. This one's pretty high. Up above 500, I think, is a pretty high number for ranking.
Agreed.
The highest all-time rank it's ever been was number 174, and it reached that on December 8th of 2011, the year it came out.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And this movie won quite a few awards. It did win an Oscar. Octavia Spencer won the Oscar for Best Performance by an Actress in a Supporting Role. She does a phenomenal job.
I love her.
Like, if I had read the book first, she would be who I would imagine as Octavia Spencer.
Yeah.
Or Octavia Spencer would be who I would imagine as Minnie.
So, like, that's Minnie.
Yes.
That's it.
She does such a wonderful job. She's got the right attitude for it.
Exactly.
And then, so, Octavia Spencer won 14 other awards besides that Oscar. All of them for Best Performance by a Supporting Actress. Viola Davis won 14 total awards for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Leading Role. That was, most of hers were similar to that.
Yeah.
Jessica Chastain, she won 16 awards for this film for best what's the wording that they used? Best up-and-coming actress or something like that, or Outbreak Act of the Year, something like that. But she won 16 awards for this film.
That's pretty good.
She did amazing. And the cast, they got a lot of awards, so congratulations to the casting department, because they won 14 awards for this film. The
There's
entire
some
cast.
really good, like, actresses and actors in here. I mean, like, just to name one that I recognized immediately, of course, was Allison Janney and Sissy Spacek.
Mm-hmm. And then one that is hidden very well, that I did not realize for the longest time who she was, is Bryce Dallas Howard.
Who's also in the Jurassic World movies.
And she looks so completely different in this film than she normally looks that I didn't recognize her.
It took me a few times, too.
Yeah. So, the AFI Awards, they won Movie of the Year, and there is a little description here for it. The Help is an immediate epic that measures the cultural divide in the American South at a critical moment in the nation's march toward racial harmony. Tate Taylor's film adaptation of Catherine Stockett's bestseller soars above and beyond stereotypes to illustrate how tolerance is taught, not inherited. Measured and moving performances by Emma Stone, Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, and Jessica Chastain help make The Help remind us that movies can be smart, movies can be kind, and movies can be important.
Aww.
I thought that was awesome. They also, the African American Film Critics Association, they got 10th place in the top 10 films.
Okay.
BET Awards, they got Best Movie. Black Film Critics Circle, Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, and top 10 films, they got first. MTV Movie and TV Awards, Bryce Dallas Howard won the award for Best On-Screen Dirtbag.
Completely agree with that. It's like you completely hate her in this film.
And then Teen Choice Awards. This is the only award that Emma Stone won by herself. The rest of them were with the cast.
Oh.
She won the Teen Choice Award for Choice Movie Actress in a Drama.
Okay.
So quite a few awards, and all of them very deserving, in my opinion.
Agreed. Like I said, Kat loves this film, so.
What are your initial thoughts? Because they already know I love it. So.
Kat loves it. I read the book before I watched the movie. I made sure I did that because I actually asked Kat. I'm like, "Can I borrow The Help?"
Yeah,
I did, and it took me a while to read it, but I read it. And then I watched the movie. The first time I watched it, I watched it with my boyfriend, and we were just laughing and
it was hilarious.
And it was just a really good movie just to watch. And my boyfriend, I will admit, he's very picky when it comes to films. And he really liked this one, and I really like it too.
That's awesome. The first time I ever watched it, I loved it. I was dying laughing half the time, and then the other half the time I was like, just so moved by everything that was happening. I'm like, it's still hard to believe that people are and were that racist.
Yeah.
Without realizing it.
I agree. It's like, wow, how can people be so backwards?
And the movie, like multiple of the reviews have said, it does gloss over some of the racism. The book does a better job of displaying that, but it still, I think, does a good job of displaying the racism.
Yeah, some of it is not, like, so obvious, like, in your face about it.
Yeah.
You have to watch, because there's some parts where it says colored come in through here, and, I'm like, are you kidding me?
You got the actual historical thing of blacks and whites can't use the same water fountains, they can't be in the same schools, because that's when this movie takes place, is at that point.
Yes.
But I absolutely love this film.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Alright, that was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening until you've watched it and come back here. And
Okay, so I told her, I said I was going to start it and then just let her run. So.
Because I have 2 pages of notes.
She has literally 2 pages of notes, and her notes are really, really small writing. So I'm like, and I have like a page. So.
I mean, I just wrote down the whole movie.
I know. So, what you starts out with, you see like this woman, you find out named Skeeter. She's writing the words, "The Help," in this notebook, and she's asking these questions to this woman. You find it is Aibileen, and it's in like Abileen's kitchen, about like her life and everything, and like how much you make, or
Which is 95 cents an hour.
and $182 a month.
Yep.
I wrote that down. And Aibileen works for her friends, the
Leafalls.
Yep.
And Aibileen is kind of the narrator throughout this. There's not a narrator the entire time, but there are points when you can tell that there is a narrator, and it's not like narrator. It's she's answering these questions that Skeeter is helping, or like asking her for the book, the help that they are writing.
Yes.
So Aibileen is talking about the babies, raising the babies.
All the babies.
And she learned at a very young age how to take care of children and how to take care of other people's houses. She does the cooking and cleaning and ironing and everything, as well as raising May Mobley, which is Elizabeth Leafolt's baby girl, who is 2. They don't
say that.
They don't say that. She is 2. And then it goes to another character, who is Skeeter, who is the one who was interviewing Aibileen. She is a journalist. She just graduated from Ole Miss. And she's going to the Jackson Journal to get a job. And she gets the job for the Miss Myrna column, which is a cleaning advice column.
Which, that kind of irritated me. Like, oh, it's a woman that can write. We're just going to stick her with the cleaning column.
But this is the only opening that they had, though.
But still.
I know, I agree with you.
That pissed me off a little bit. That's, yeah.
And so she does get the job, and it pays $8 a week, which makes sense because she's not, like, doing something constantly. She's writing 1 column a week, which probably answers maybe 5 to 10 letters, depending on how she does it. And then you jump to another character, who is Hilly Holbrook, and she is the villain of this movie, so to speak.
I hate her.
She is drawing pencil marks on toilet paper, so that way if her maid uses the bathroom, she will know. At least she thinks she will know. Because the maid later says that she takes in her own paper.
Yeah.
From her house.
She's like, she's not going to know.
And then you also end up seeing her maid, who is Minnie Jackson, played by Octavia Spencer. And you also see Hilly Holbrook's mother, Mrs. Walters, who it seems to me she has dementia or something like that.
Yeah, like...
Because she tends to forget things.
That's true.
Minnie is telling her it's 98 degrees outside and taking off her coat. And she's like, oh, is it? And puts her coat back on.
Yeah.
And she does a pretty good job, I think. I've never met anybody with dementia, but I think she does a pretty good job of displaying that.
For the most part, that's like the early stages.
Okay. And then Aibileen, in her narrator voiceover, says that Hilly Holbrook took in Miss Walters when she started getting sick, and also fired her own maid to make room for Minnie's maid, or Miss Walters' maid, who was Minnie, because she wanted Minnie because she's the best cook in Mississippi. And then you find out also that Aibileen's son died 4 years ago.
His name is
Treelor. Yep. And you get the story later on of how he died, and she basically, without saying it, says she didn't want to live anymore after he passed away. She had nothing left to live for.
It's like her only son, her only family
Yep.
she had, so.
Then you jump to Bridge Club at the Leafolt's residence. Not quite Bridge Club. They're getting ready for Bridge Club. Aibileen is taking care of May Mobley on the toilet, trying to get her potty trained. She says she'll give her 2 cookies if she goes to the bathroom. And so she does. And her mother walks in, and May Mobley's all excited that she went in the bath, like in the toilet, and her mom doesn't even care. She picks her up and just takes her to her room, doesn't even wipe her.
Yeah, I'm like, really? What kind of mother are you? I mean, none, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Amy's the one raising her.
Yeah. And then you get to actual Bridge Club. I don't know how to play bridge, so I can't really explain that.
I don't know how to play bridge either, so we're good.
Yeah, so they're playing bridge, and the maids are in the kitchen. Minnie and Aibileen are in the kitchen, and they are making fun of their bosses, the Miss Leafolt, Elizabeth Leafolt, and Hilly Holbrook. They are making fun of them, and it's hilarious.
Oh, I know.
Just everything that they say. And then it jumps to the doorbell has rung, and Skeeter is coming in. And this is the first time, in my impression, that Skeeter has seen her friends since she got home from college. because they're all happy to see her.
They're like, yay!
Excited. And Hilly tells Skeeter that her date is not going to happen that night because he had to cancel. And then they're sitting down there playing bridge, and Skeeter's like, yay, hey, guess what? I got a job. I'm like super excited about it. And you just see this look on Hilly's face like, well, what the fuck did you go do that for?
Yeah, it's like, aren't you supposed to be getting, like, married or something?
Yeah, that's literally what her face said. And then Jolene, which you don't really find out her name till later.
Yeah.
She's sitting next to Hilly at the same table with Skeeter and Elizabeth. And she says, next stop till marriage, and Hilly kicks her under the table.
It's like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, is that all these women are worried about?
Yes. Skeeter asks Elizabeth if she can talk to Aibileen about the letters because she doesn't quite know how to answer them. And you see this kind of look on Elizabeth's face like, why do you want to talk to my maid? And she even says that, like, well, why don't you talk to Constantine? And then Skeeter says that Constantine quit. And then it cuts to Aibileen, and she's making this weird face like, you got the wrong story there.
It's like, she did not quit.
But Elizabeth agrees to let Skeeter talk to Aibileen. Aibileen goes and Skeeter talks to Aibileen and asks her, is it okay if we do this? And then she also asks her if she knew Constantine. And that's when you find out that Aibileen knows that Constantine did not quit.
No. You missed the thing about Hilly to the bathrooms.
Oh, yeah, I wrote that down too and I skipped right over it. Go for it. Because you caught me on that.
This woman, like, seriously just, like, pisses me off the entire film. Like,
well,
oh my god.
That's what she's supposed to do.
I know, but it's just like, God, this woman, she's throwing a fit how, why do they have the help use our bathrooms? Because, they have different diseases than we do.
Yeah. And
they can get us sick and everything. And it's like, she has this initiative.
Yep, the Home Health Sanitation Initiative.
That would require all family,
all white families to have a bathroom outside for the colored help. This is literally what she said.
It's like, this is the 1960s, and they're that backwards still.
Yeah. At one point during Bridge Club, Celia Foote calls, and you don't quite know who she is yet, but she seems kind of like this ditzy blonde, which that's exactly what she is this ditzy blonde.
A big
but
boob ditzy blonde.
Yes. She calls... She's trying to make friends with the Miss Leafall, all the junior league.
The ladies in the town around her own age.
She's trying to make friends with them, and they don't want to make friends with her because she stole Hilly's boyfriend before Hilly got married to her now husband.
Yeah, it's like, that is completely wrong, but...
Yeah.
Whatever.
And then, there's one point where Miss Walters is asleep and she's got the plate on her lap and she's watching the TV. And it just reminded me so much of the grandma and the Proud Family. You turn the TV off or you change the channel. I'm still watching that. Because Aibileen comes to take her plate and she picks it up and Miss Walters wakes up. Oh, I'm not done, Aibileen.
She's like, oh, I'm still eating. So you were asleep with the fork like half in the plate.
Yep. And then the next thing is you see, after Aibileen and Skeeter talk a little bit about Constantine, the next thing you see is Skeeter driving on this big farm, which is her father's plantation. They don't really explain that, but it's her father's plantation.
It's a cotton plantation.
Yeah. And she gets home and she has a bag and a dress in her hand, the black dress that she had picked up for her date, but that's not going to happen now. At least not at that point.
Yeah.
She just throws the dress in the room.
She tosses everything on her bed. It's like,
and the dress doesn't even land on the bed. It falls on the floor.
Yeah.
And then Skeeter's mom has cancer. So she tries to please her mom as much as she can, but her mom is very 60s Southern at that point.
Oh, yeah. I love the wigs.
Yes. She's trying on different wigs when she comes in. And Skeeter announces that she got a job. And her mom is not happy that she got a job. She's like, you're supposed to be getting married, not getting a job, pretty much. And then Skeeter's like throwing a fit about it, and then her mom asks her if she's even interested in men anymore.
The unnatural thoughts. I'm like, oh my god, really? You people are so backwards.
And there is a special root tea that can cure them if they have that.
Yes, because, if you're gay, just a tea will cure you.
Yeah, apparently.
Apparently.
I don't believe that, but...
No, that's just, again, very backwards thinking.
Yes. And then there's the family dinner at the Thielen residence. Carlton brought his girlfriend to dinner, and Skeeter once again makes a scene.
Of course.
Pascagoula, which is their maid now, she doesn't know that Skeeter's allergic to almonds, because this is probably one of the first times that she served her food.
Yeah, I think so.
And she gives her almonds, and Skeeter's like, oh no, Pascagoula, you couldn't know this, but I'm allergic to almonds. And then she goes, the last time I had an almond, I stopped liking men. I was like, damn it, Skeeter.
That I did not catch that line. Oh, that's funny.
And her mom throws a fit, and then she asks about Constantine. And they said that Constantine went to live in Chicago with her family, and Skeeter's like, you're lying. And she runs out. And then she goes out to this tree that they used to sit at whenever Skeeter was upset. Too. There's a bench under there, yeah. And you see this memory of Skeeter and Constantine talking. Constantine comes out there because she sees Skeeter out there. She knows she's upset because it's probably where she goes every time she's upset.
Probably.
And she said that she didn't get invited to the dance because all the boys think she's ugly.
It's like, I think we all felt that when we were younger. I know I did.
Yeah, I don't think I... So, then comes a really good line from Constantine. One of the few that you get, because you don't get very much of Constantine in the movie. She says, every day that you're not dead in the ground, you're going to have to make some decisions. Ask yourself, am I going to believe all them bad things them fools say about me today? I just think that's an awesome line to a kid who constantly hears bad things from her classmates.
Yeah.
Because that's all Skeeter hears from her classmates when she's in high school and middle school.
It's like, because the nickname Skeeter, because she's, like, really tall in the book. I mean, Emma Stone's not that tall.
Yeah. We can go ahead and do this bit, just because they need to know why she's called Skeeter. So when she was born, her older brother Carlton, said she didn't look like a baby, she looked like a Skeeter, which, in the South, if you don't know, a mosquito is a Skeeter. That's what it's called. It's a mosquito.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. So, she just was forever called Skeeter then, and she's...
It's a nickname that's stuck.
Yep. Because she's lanky, she's really tall.
Tall and skinny.
Yep.
Curly
Very
hair.
curly hair. It makes her even taller.
And I'm like, alright, go curly hair.
So then, this memory kind of sparks an idea for Skeeter to come... She comes up with the idea for the book, and she calls Mrs. Stein at Harbor and Road Publishing in New York, which is where she applied to, but was rejected because she didn't have enough experience. She comes up with the idea of getting the point of view of the help, like their side of the story, their opinion about what is happening, how they're treated, everything like that. She lies about already having a maid that's going to talk to her.
She's like, oh, I already have one lined up.
Yep.
It's like, oh, okay.
And then she is at the Lee Foltz residence talking to Aibileen while Hilly is outside telling the construction guy where to build Aibileen's bathroom in the garage.
Because this woman cannot think for herself and listens to everything Hilly tells her.
Yes. And there's times when you can see it throughout the film that she's like, she doesn't want to listen to Hilly. She doesn't want to listen to Hilly, but she knows that if she doesn't, she will be shunned. And she will not get... Like, her friends will not talk to her anymore if she doesn't listen to Hilly, because Hilly is, like, the head of the people, like, the head of the women there.
The main bitch.
Yes. And so, it goes back to Aibileen and Skeeter asks Aibileen about her book, and Aibileen is pretty much like, you are a friggin' idiot if you think I'm going to help you with this. Like, they will kill me.
like, you're crazy.
And so she denies her, and then they go inside because it's going to start storming, and they're continuing to work on the cleaning column, and Mr. Leafault comes in and he's yelling at Elizabeth because he didn't want the bathroom in the garage. He didn't care because he didn't use the same bathroom as Aibileen. Aibileen used the guest bathroom. Roy and Elizabeth used their bathroom. So he didn't care.
He's like, this is stupid.
He's like, we don't take orders from the Holbrooks.
He's like, yeah, you're, what was it? Mae Mobley's gonna just, go to college in that bathroom.
Yeah, Mae Mobley can go to college in that bathroom.
Like, good line.
Elizabeth tells Skeeter that this whole Miss Myrna column isn't gonna work because she tried to be nice about it, but she doesn't like sharing her maid. Her maid is her maid. She doesn't want anybody else having anything to do with it. She doesn't even like... In the books, they do a better description of it. She doesn't even like it when she goes to the country club with Hilly. She doesn't like doing that too often because that means that she has to share Aibileen with Hilly.
Yeah, I wrote a little note because I was like, these white women have some damn nerve treating their maids like slaves.
Yes. Well, that's what they think they are.
Yeah.
They just
I had to write
them.
that down.
They just pay them.
And I'm like, oh, these people have some nerve.
Yeah. And so then the bad storm is happening, and it's like raining.
It's technically at the start, like
it's like a tropical storm at this point.
They say it's a tornado.
Yeah, because Jackson, Mississippi, is far enough south, close to the Gulf, that it can be a tropical storm, but it's far enough north that a tornado can hit. So it's in not a very good space.
God does not like Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes. So we are at Hilly's house, and Minnie is like flapping her arms, fanning off Miss Walters because it's hot. And then they move into a different room, and they're all just kind of sitting there. And then Minnie is like kind of dancing because she has to go to the bathroom, but her bathroom is outside on the other side of the pool.
Yeah, and it's like there's like all these umbrellas and all this stuff flying around. It's like,
and Hilly's like, oh, she can just go up and get a umbrella from William's study. It's just a little bit of rain.
It wasn't a little bit of rain.
Like, there's a lot of rain.
There's a lot of rain.
And so she sneaks off saying that she's going to go get Miss Walters' tea, when really she just goes into the bathroom. And Hilly knows exactly what she's doing, so she follows her and knocks on the door. What do you think you're doing, Minnie Jackson? And fires her because Minnie just flushes. She hadn't even used the toilet yet. She was just about to, and so she flushes it so that
slams the lid.
Yep. And so she's fired, and then it jumps back to Aibileen and Mae Mobley. Mae Mobley is terrified. In narration, Aibileen says 18 people died in Jackson that day, 10 white and 8 black, and that God doesn't pay any mind to color once he decides to set a tornado loose in Jackson. That literally came straight from my head. I did not write that down.
That was perfect.
I did not write that down. So then the next thing you see is Aibileen's legs with her drawers down. So you see like her knees and then her stockings down by her ankles.
Because she's using the bathroom.
Yeah, she's using her outside bathroom. And there's a thermometer on the wall once it goes to the outside. It is 102.
Yeah.
And she is in an enclosed space with no AC. So it's probably like 120 in that bathroom.
Hot. And
then, so Elizabeth and Mae Mobley are outside.
Yes.
And Mae Mobley's like, that's Abby's bathroom, Mama. And Elizabeth's like, yeah, you don't use that bathroom. That is not your bathroom. And then Elizabeth leaves to go to the doctor, and Mae Mobley's like, you're my real mama, Abby.
And it's like, oh.
And I'm just like, that sucks for all of these women, because they raise these kids, and these kids tell them that because they're children.
Children are very honest.
And that's how they feel. And then the kids grow up and become just as bad as their parents.
Yes. Children are very innocent and honest creatures.
Yes. Yeah. And then the next thing you see is Aibileen and Yulme, which is Hilly's new maid, You don't learn her name till later. They don't say her name here. But that's Hilly's new maid. They're getting on the bus as Minnie is sneaking off of the bus, and she has a pie in her hand. And Aibeleen's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I got business to tend to, so you mind your own. She's like, well, she's always mad about something.
It's Minnie. She's kind of a hothead sometimes. And then there's, like, a little before that, there was Skeeter getting this pamphlet. Like, this, like, little book.
Oh, yeah, Skeeter went to the library to get, you don't know what it is quite yet, but she went to get the Jim Crow laws.
The Jim Crow laws.
And while she's at the library, Aibileen in the voiceover is reading Jim Crow laws.
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
I just didn't write that down.
Yeah, I did. I just thought it was important.
It was important, and I missed it. My bad. So then, Yolme gets on the bus, and Skeeter approaches Aibileen and stops her from getting on the bus. And she's asking her about the book again. And she's like, well, be careful. And Aibeleen's like, you're already not being careful. Like, you're out here talking to me in broad daylight about this with tons of eyes on us. Anybody could come up and hear what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Minnie finds out that Hilly had been telling everyone that she was a thief, that she stole a candelabra, so she can't get a job in town. Then they're at church, and the preacher is preaching about courage. And he's saying that courage isn't just about being brave. You have to basically be you have to be friends with your enemy, because if you are, then you've already won. I don't know the exact quote. It's a long quote.
Well, like the one part of it.
Yeah. And Aibileen, you can kind of see it in her face that she has this epiphany. And you don't know for sure quite yet, but you can see it in her face that she's going to do the book. Like,
yeah.
That the preacher just inspired her to do the book. Did you find the quote?
Well, it's just the end part of it.
Okay. Go for it.
If you can love your enemy, you already have victory.
Aibileen agrees to do the book, and you're kind of back at the beginning, because you hear Skeeter asking the questions that she was asking at the very beginning. She's on the question about how does it feel to raise a white child when your own child is at home being raised by someone else. And Aibeleen's just staring at the picture of her son. Because she's sad. Like, she did not get to raise her son the way she would have wanted to. Somebody else had to do it because she had to go raise other people's kids. And then her son died. And he wanted to be a writer. But she doesn't want to talk about this right now because it's still so close to his death day.
Yeah.
That she is still very emotional about it right at that minute.
She asked Skeeter to change the names.
Yes. She's like, you gotta change the names. And she's like trying to talk, but then she's like, I just decided that it's easier for me to write down the stories than to tell you them, so I can just write them down and read them to you.
Which makes sense. It does, because you can collect your thoughts as you're writing.
Yep. And her first story that she tells is about her first baby, Alton Spear. In 1925 is when she went to work. She was 14. And you loved this. What he asked her? What did he ask her?
Oh, that he asked her. He's like, why is your skin so dark? And she's like, I drank too much coffee.
Yeah, that's what she told me.
I lost it. I was laughing so hard.
And also, Skeeter asks her, what changed your mind? And she says God and Miss Hilly Holbrook. Mm-hmm. Because the way that Hilly is acting, like, Hilly is a complete racist, even though she thinks she's not.
Complete and utter racist.
Then we jump to Yolme, who's Hilly's maid, is asking for $75 because her twin boys are graduating from high school, and she wants to send them to Tougaloo College, which is probably about the best college that they can get into right now, because they are both very smart boys. And it sounds like Hilly's about to say, yes, I'll give you the money. But then she's like, oh no, you're not getting it. You're well and able, so you can do this on your own. And you see it on her face. She gets so excited because she thinks that Hilly's actually going to do something nice for her because she hasn't been working for Hilly long enough to know.
It's like she thinks that, but then we all know Hilly is a complete and utter bitch.
And then you just see the disappointment cross her face, and it's just like, I have to choose between my two boys of who's going to go to college and who's going to have to go to work.
Yeah, which is not fair at all.
Yeah. And then you see Minnie talking to Sugar, which is her oldest daughter. She had to pull her out of school because Minnie was fired, so she doesn't have income, so they needed help with the bills. So she has to go become a maid, and she's like telling her this, that, and the other about her first day for working in a white lady's home.
And in the book, Minnie's mom tells her that.
Yep.
And so it's kind of just passing it on.
Yep. It is passing it on.
Which I think is, I'm like, having like a teenager go and work, it's just really sad.
It's not so sad as having a teenager go and work. It's the fact that the teenager has to stop school to go and work.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's like, the kid has to sacrifice her own education and her own life, in a sense, for her family.
Yeah. And then Minnie gets on the bus, and she goes all the way out to the Foot residence, which is 30 minutes outside of town, as Hilly so kindly told us earlier. Because Celia Foote is looking for a maid. And she gets there, and you just see the same lady that had called earlier, running out, no shoes on, bouncing up and down with a Coca-Cola in her hand, spilling it all over the place because she's so excited that someone came to her house. She doesn't care who it is.
No.
She's just so happy someone came to her house.
I love her hair.
Yeah, her hair is really good in this movie.
Really, really blonde.
And Minnie is just repeating over and over, no sass mouth and no sass mouth.
No sassing.
Because that is what Minnie gets fired for 90% of the time, is her mouth. And so she gives her the tour, Celia gives her the tour, and Celia thinks that she's not gonna do it.
She's like, I already had 5 maids turn me down.
Yeah.
I'll just get you some, like...
I'll get you some bus money.
And Emmy's like...
Now, where'd you hear me say I ain't gonna clean this house?
Oh, so much sass right there.
I've seen this movie way too many times and I can quote it. And Celia's shocked that she's like super excited, but she's also shocked that she's gonna actually do it. And then Minnie's like, well, hold on. We have to talk about some things first. It's funny that Minnie has to say this when Celia's the one hiring her.
It's like, okay, we've got to talk about what days, time, how much.
And like, how much does your husband say you can pay? Well, Johnny doesn't know. I don't want Johnny to know. And Minnie's like, well, fuck. That's literally what her face says. She's like, I'm gonna die if this man finds me at this house. And one thing I wrote down is Celia's Coke is like, there's like barely any left. Minnie has not drank hers at all because she doesn't feel comfortable with something that a white lady gave her.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
So then the next scene is they're at the drugstore, which at this time the drugstore also had, it's like in A Mood for Love. No, not In the Mood for Love. That's the next film. It's like in The Best Years of Our Lives. It has the soda fountain shop in the drugstore. And Skeeter is there with Elizabeth and Hilly. And Skeeter meets up with them too.
Yes.
Hilly's on one side, Elizabeth's on the other, and Hilly kind of uses her eyes and says, move over, because I don't want to sit next to her, because she's already starting to get irritated with how Skeeter has been acting. And Henry, who is the soda fountain guy, he knows exactly what Skeeter likes, even though she has not been there in probably since last summer.
Yeah, that's true.
And he still remembers exactly what she likes. And you notice throughout the film that Skeeter is always very friendly and polite to the help. Like, she's polite to literally everyone.
Everyone. She's just a very nice girl.
Yes. Hilly tells her that Stuart is actually coming for the date. And then you jump to Yulme vacuuming. She pulls the couch out, and she finds a ring, and she puts it in her pocket. Because she, in her mind, she's like, this is going to get me to get my boys into school.
Yeah.
She wasn't thinking about the consequences. She was thinking about her boys.
Which is that's what a mother would do.
Yes. And then there's a short scene of Aibileen taking Mae Mobley out of her bed in the morning and then going to change her diaper. Elizabeth does not touch Mae Mobley's diaper from the point she goes to bed to when Aibileen gets there in the morning. So she has to sit there forever in her own poop and pee.
It's like, what kind of mother is that leaves their child in a mess for that long?
Yeah, and she's also having another child.
Yes.
Like, she's pregnant at the moment.
And Avi's like, that woman should not have children.
Yes. She's like, write that down.
Write
Miss
that
Lee
down.
Fultz should not be having children.
She's got a point.
This is another, they're working on more interviews at this point. And Minnie walks in during this interview, and you already know Minnie's going to be pissed about it.
Because it's Minnie.
Yes. So she walks in on it, and she gets real grumpy, and she goes off on this rant about how they love raising the kids until they get older and grow up to be just like their parents, and they don't make minimum wage, they don't get Social Security, and they just dream about it all weekend long. And she's being super sarcastic and super bitchy, and it's awesome.
She just goes off. We're like, oh, wow.
And then she leaves, storms out, and Aibileen goes, and that's a good mood.
That's a good mood.
And then she comes back in, she's like, alright, I'm gonna help you.
And she just like sits down. She's like, well, do I have to come up with the questions too?
Yep, she's like, you gotta face me straight on. And all this and that, and like laying down the ground rules. And then she gets to talking about her stories, and they're there all night because Minnie starts talking about cooking, which is Minnie's favorite thing to do.
And she shows Skeeter. She's
Yes,
like,
she's
how
showing,
she cooks.
because there's the scene in the scene. Aibileen is taking the notes because Skeeter is over there because Minnie is like, you need to be over here. You need to be watching this. And then Skeeter's mom yells upstairs for her that something arrived from New York, and Skeeter gets all excited because she thinks it's from Harbor and Row.
Yeah. Like
when really, it was her mom ordered her a Shinolator, which is like some hair product.
It's like a smoothing thing, like
it's
smoothing
like pre-aged straightener.
Yeah, like kind of like a perm,
like a reverse perm.
It'd be cool because you can have like a permanent straightener or permanent curl. It just depends. And her hair comes out like amazing.
Yeah, and she was doing it for the date, but then she ruins her hair because she's running to the truck and then drives the truck with the windows down. And she gets to Hilly's house and her hair is all messed up.
I'm like, that was something Kat would do. That's what I thought of immediately. Like,
I would have worn a hat.
Or a hat.
So, Stuart is her date, and he is drunk.
He keeps drinking and drinking.
Yep. And the date goes very poorly. He keeps insulting her and making fun of her. And she just talks her mind. She just says whatever she wants.
It's great.
And he says something stupid, and she gets mad and storms out. I'm going to save the line for later, because that's one of my favorite lines.
Same. It's a good line.
So she storms out and leaves them. And then the next thing you know is, or the next thing you see is Minnie is teaching Celia how to cook, because that's one of the things that Celia wanted her to teach her.
How to cook.
So they're learning about fried chicken.
Ooh,
and
look like good fried chicken.
This is where Minnie rhapsodizes about fried chicken. She's just going on about it. She says she loves cooking fried chicken. It clears her mind. And if you love to cook, then that's how it works. Like,
yeah. The love show, she uses a bunch of Crisco.
Yes, a ton.
It's like 2 big handfuls. I'm like, oh my god. That's a lot of Crisco. But it's probably super delicious.
But that's probably why that fried chicken is so good. Because it looks delicious.
It's so bad for you.
So then Minnie goes to eat at this table alone, because that's how she's done it her whole life of being a maid, is she eats at her own table and the boss eats at their own table. And Celia just comes in and joins her and sits down. And she's like, we talked about this, Miss Celia. You eat in the dining room. She's like, I'm staying right here. She sasses Minnie back, and it's hilarious.
It's like, oh.
Because Minnie's like, I don't know what to do about that.
It's like, this woman's a little crazy. She gets along with her really well, though.
Mm-hmm. And then, you see Skeeter on the phone with Miss Stein from Harbor Road Publishing, and Miss Stein is saying that she likes what she's read so far, but she needs 12 more maids.
In the book, it's a lot more, though.
In the book, it's a total of 12 maids, and then, because they have 13 come, but then one of them, is just there to basically bitch at Skeeter, so they kick her out. Because it's only 13.
Okay.
Skeeter is like, we've already asked everybody, like, we can't get any more maids. What are we supposed to do? I mean, he's like, oh, I got plenty of stories. Just make up the maid that sent them.
Change the names.
Yeah. And Skeeter's like, no, we're not going to do that. And Aibeleen's like, you can't give up on this. If you give up on this, Tree Lord died for nothing, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because she's doing this for him. Because he always wanted to be a writer. And this is where you find out how he died. So he was working, and he was carrying some 2x4s, and he tripped and fell, and a truck backed over him.
Yeah.
The foreman threw him in the back of the truck and just kind of dropped him off at the entrance of the hospital, the colored hospital. And then Aibileen didn't hear about it until too late. She just brought him home and laid him on the couch and watched him die because she couldn't do anything. And the doctors couldn't do anything. And then it jumps to Elizabeth's baby shower. And May Mobley comes up to her and says that she's hungry. And she's a little chunky. At this point, I think she has turned 3.
Yeah.
Because she does turn 3 throughout the film. I think at this point she turns 3 already. And Skeeter's like, you know she can hear you. Because Elizabeth...
smack about it.
Yeah, Elizabeth insults her. Like, just because she's a child doesn't mean she doesn't have feelings.
Seriously.
And then Hilly asks Aibileen if she likes the bathroom. And Aibileen is forced to say, yes, I appreciate it, thank you. And Skeeter gets mad at her about the bathroom again. Skeeter is constantly mad about Hilly in the bathroom. And you see Yolme hearing what Skeeter is saying, giving Hilly attitude about the bathroom situation. And so then Skeeter is in the kitchen a little bit later and asks Yolme to help with the books, but she's like, I can't. I have to think about my boys. I'm trying to get them into college. And she's like, I completely understand. And that's right when Hilly walks in, and she's like, you understand what? She's like, oh, she was telling me about how her boys are going to college very soon. And she's like, oh. And then Yolme is like, oh, this is awkward. I need to leave, and takes Billy and lays him down for his nap. And you see this little blue book in Hilly's hands, which is...
The Jim Crow.
Yep, the Jim Crow laws. And Hilly's like, you need to be careful who catches you with this, because there were real racists in this town. I'm like, yep, and you're one of them.
Exactly. I'm like, really? Really? Come on now.
Yep. And then that inspires Skeeter to finally put the initiative in the newsletter, as well as anything else that Hilly had given her. And one thing that Hilly had given her is there's supposed to be a coat drive.
To drop off at Hilly's.
Yeah, you're supposed to drop off all your own coats at Hilly's house. But Skeeter changes it to commodes. And then you don't get directly to that fallout. First thing you get to is Miss Thielen is super excited because there's a man there to see Skeeter.
And she's like, get dressed, and like throws like this dress at her.
Yeah, and Skeeter's like, oh, he's awful. And so she goes outside, and Stuart is there to apologize. And, well, she's like, well, who put you up to this? He's like, Hilly. And she's like, yeah. But he's like, but I wanted to come. I wanted to apologize. And so they go on another date. And that's when they start dating.
Yeah.
You don't really see too much of it.
Yeah.
And then it goes to Aibileen is reading a story, like helping Mae Mobley learn to read.
Yes.
And you hear the phone ring, and Miss Lee Falk gets to it first. So Elizabeth gets to it first. And she comes running in. She's like, we have to go to Hilly's. We have to help Hilly. And they get over there, and there's toilets everywhere.
Toilets
and people
just on the lawn.
There's people everywhere, and Hilly's throwing a huge fit. And, like, she has a sign in her front yard, Lawn of the Year or something.
Yeah.
And Hilly's, like, holding it and hugging it because her yard is ruined.
Because all of these old toilets are just on her lawn.
I have a feeling they're not all old, though. I have a feeling some people just went out to buy toilets and stick them on her yard.
I mean, yeah.
Because I would definitely do that.
I would have done that, too, but... Oh, and then little Mae Mobley. That was great.
Yep. And then Mae Mobley is using her potty training and goes to the bathroom on one of the toilets. Her mom catches her and beats her, like spanks her, because she's like, you'll catch diseases on those toilets. Don't use those toilets. And then you see Aibileen comforting Mae Mobley, but also you see Elizabeth seeing this, and Elizabeth is upset about it because she's like, I could never do that.
No.
She doesn't know. She can't. She doesn't know how. And then Medgar Evers is on the TV. He is encouraging a boycott of all the white businesses. He's encouraging everyone to boycott them.
This is the early 1960s when the civil rights movement was going on.
Yep.
And he's one of the civil rights activists in the South. And he's actually the something to with dude that NAACP.
Yep. And he also owns a carport in the town too.
There we go.
So the town knows who he is, and they're all very...
He's nationally known.
Yeah, he's nationally known. He's very well known in the town as well, so the town is completely, like, engrossed in what he is talking about. And then Skeeter's mom comes in and turns it off because she thinks she's encouraging Pascagoula and Jamesa. And then, right after that, Aibileen is on the bus going home, and her and Henry have to get off, and then the bus driver takes all the white people as close as he can, and they're asking what is going on, and he says that somebody got shot. That's not exactly what he says, but I don't say that. I don't say that.
It's a foul word. We don't say that.
Aibileen runs to Minnie's house, and on the radio you hear that the KKK shot Medgar Evers.
Right in front of his house.
Right in front of his home, in front of his children and his wife. Minnie and Aibileen are worried about themselves with the book because they think, Minnie's like, well, what if they come here and shoot me right in front of my children?
Yeah.
Her oldest daughter is probably about 14, and then they just get younger from there. Yes. Her youngest son is like 3 years old. He can't even read. She says that at one point.
Does she have 5 kids?
Yeah, she has 5, but she does end up with 6, at least in the books. It doesn't really show it in the movie.
Yeah.
And then you see Skeeter reading about Medgar Evers' shooting and his funeral that is coming up, and then also a few other civil rights things. And then the short little funny man, her boss, he's hilarious. He yells at her about needing to call him 30 minutes ago, and he's such a funny man. I love him. And then, next thing you see is Minnie is vacuuming a bear.
Yeah. It's like just vacuuming this big bear. It's like standing up against, like, in this corner.
Yeah. She's at Celia's house and she's vacuuming a bear.
And she hears, like, this thud, and she's like, is she okay?
She's like, now what has she done? Is basically what it looked like. So she goes upstairs and she knocks on the door. And Celia's like, just go home. And she's like, well, if it's your hair, I can help you fix it. I helped you fix it last time.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, Minnie, just go home. And Minnie's like, okay, no, that doesn't sound right. So she busts in the bathroom.
Breaks down the bathroom door.
And Celia there's blood all over the floor and on the toilet and on her. And you don't know exactly what it is quite yet, but you can tell. You know what it is without them saying it.
Because she says earlier when you first meet Celia, Minnie meets Celia, she says that she's pregnant.
Yep. And then Minnie helps her to the bed and cleans her up and everything. You don't see all that. She cleans up everything.
Yes.
And she helps her to the bed, and Celia tells her about she was pregnant when they met, when Johnny and her met. Well, not when they met. She was pregnant when they got married, and then she lost it a month later. And then she was pregnant when she met Minnie, and she just lost that one. And Johnny doesn't know about that baby or the 2 before. So this is her 4th miscarriage.
She miscarries. And, which I think was interesting, she buries, like,
She buries the
baby in, like, this little shoebox, and she puts dirt over it, and then she puts, like, roses on top of it. And there's different, like, rose bushes, and we're like, okay, so that's where the rest of the babies are.
Yep. And then Yulme and Aibileen are getting off of the bus, and the police come up and grab Yulme and then kind of hold Aibileen back. And they're arresting Yulme for stealing Hilly's ring. And you just see Hilly over in her car just watching from the distance with a little smirk on her face like, haha, I got you now, bitch.
Pretty much.
And once again, we are at the drugstore, the soda counter. Skeeter is at the actual counter. Hilly and Jolene and Elizabeth and one other person who we don't actually get a name for her that I can remember off the top of my head. She does have a name, I just don't remember. They all walk in, and Hilly's talking about getting Yulme arrested. And Elizabeth sees Skeeter at the counter, and she, like, kind of waves at her, but then Hilly turns, and she, like, puts her hand down real fast because they are, at this point, shunning Skeeter for her behavior.
Yeah.
But this is that part where you see Elizabeth doesn't want to. She still wants to be friends with Skeeter. They were best friends growing up, along with Hilly, and she doesn't want to shun Skeeter, but if she doesn't, then she won't have any friends either.
Yeah, so it's like, well, shun one or get shunned by everyone.
Yeah. And then Henry tells Skeeter that she needs to go to Aibileen's. And so she runs off and goes to Aibileen's, walks in, and there are, it looks like about 20 to 30 maids.
It's a lot of them.
When in actuality, in the books, there's only a total of 13 stories, so there's 12 maids, and then Skeeter's story about Constantine. So there's a bit of an exaggeration, but I like what they did. I really liked that. It worked. And they're all there saying that they're going to help with the stories because of what happened to Yulme, what happened to Medgar Evers. They're just tired of it. They're like,
they're done.
I want to help. I want to change things because they need changed. And then she's talking to Miss Stein on the phone again, and Miss Stein tells her that she doesn't want it to go in the pile, so she needs to get it to her within the next 3 weeks, and that she needs to put in a personal touch of her own, so she needs to write about the maid that raised her.
Constantine.
Yep. And then you cut to Celia with a chocolate pie that Minnie made. Well, I'm guessing Minnie made because at this point I don't think she's good enough to cook yet.
No, it looks like a mini pie.
It does look like a mini pie. So she is at Hilly's house outside. They're having bridge club inside, and she walks up. She's just trying to make friends.
Trying so hard.
And she is bringing a pie to bridge club because she has been, unbeknownst to us, it says in the book, she's been studying bridge. She's been learning how to play bridge so that she could go join them at bridge club. And they just leave her standing out there.
They literally say hide. They hide from her. It's like, there's all these cars out front. You really think she's not going to know you're there?
Yeah.
It's like, how old are we?
Yep.
I can see, like, children doing this. Not,
yeah.
You know, supposedly adult women.
Yeah. And then Celia is home and she's upset, and Minnie's trying to comfort her. So Minnie tells her that Hilly is pretty much jealous of her because Celia is married to Johnny, who was Hilly's boyfriend. But then Johnny met Celia and left Hilly for Celia.
Yeah.
And Celia is so sweet to Minnie, because Minnie is literally the only person besides Johnny that actually talks to her. So there's a cut on Minnie's eyebrow, and she's like, I know you didn't fall in the tub, and she's like cleaning it up, and she's like, you just need to hit him back. You should just hit him back. Pick up a skillet and hit him back.
I'm like, nice.
And then everyone is watching John F. Kennedy's funeral.
Yep.
That's about all that's in that scene. His John F. Kennedy's funeral.
Yeah, and
Stuart is there with her. Like, everyone is there. Pascagoula is watching. James is watching. Her parents are watching. Carlton and Rebecca are watching. And Stuart and Skeeter. They're all sitting there watching this. Because it's just such a profound loss for the entire country.
I mean, the president assassinated?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Especially
one that's making that much of a movement towards progress.
Yes. Kennedy was trying, and then...
Yes.
He got shot.
And then... They're back at Aibeleen's house, and Minnie... They're trying to figure out... They're like, well, somebody's going to figure out that this is Jackson. And Minnie's like, well, we can put in the terrible awful that I did, and... Miss Hilly Holbrook will not want people to know that this is Jackson.
She's going to deny it.
And Minnie's collateral is... So the day that she had the pie and was telling Aibileen to mind her own business, she went to Hilly's house to apologize, air quotes, for mistreating her-ish, like not following her rules and stuff. And so she went over there, and Hilly is eating the pie. She's on her second slice already. And she's like, oh, this is so good. What do you put in this? She's like, vanilla. Yeah, that good vanilla from Mexico. And then something real special.
It's exactly the quote. Keep going. That's the exact quote.
And then something else real special. And then Hilly is like, well, I'll take you back, but I have to cut your pay $5 a week. And Minnie goes, take me back? And then they start, and she goes, eat my shit. And Hilly's like, what'd you say? And Minnie says, I said, eat my shit. And then Hilly just kind of looks at her, and Minnie goes, or no, Hilly's like, have you lost your mind? She goes, no, ma'am, but you about to, cause you just did.
And like, Mrs. Walters like,
bust out laughing.
Laughing her ass off. I was laughing so hard.
And this is like, literally the best comedic moment of the movie. It is hilarious.
It's like, cause you just did. Oh, snap.
And Hilly was like covering her mouth and like gagging, and she runs off to the bathroom. And then you find out that Hilly puts Miss Walters in a nursing home for laughing at her about the pie. I'm like, I would have laughed too, so.
It's funny. That just shows, like, she doesn't have respect for her mother whatsoever.
No, she does not. So Minnie said, Skeeter and Aibileen are like, no, we cannot put that in there. No, we can't do that. And then Minnie gets all pissed off. She's like, well, you either put that in there or just take my parts out altogether.
And then Sassy, like, walks out.
Yes. And then they're at the benefit, which is the children's benefit, which is just so stupid. They are raising money to go towards children in Africa who can't afford food. And I'm just like, you realize you're raising money for people in Africa, and you are racist against African Americans.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
it's just
their grandmothers.
It's a put on a face. That's what it is. It's put on a face saying, "Oh, we care," but not really.
And so Celia comes in wearing this pink dress.
Oh my
boobs
gosh,
pretty much hanging out.
I freaking love this dress. It's a gorgeous, like, it's curve hugging. It's sparkly and pink and just, oh, gorgeous. I love this dress. I would wear it if I could.
But it's very inappropriate for what they are at. And so you see the benefit, and it's going on, and people are dancing, eating, having a time. There's a silent auction, and you see Celia, and she sees one of Minnie's pies, because of course Minnie made a pie, because that's what she does. She loves cooking. She doesn't care what it's for. Mm-hmm. She's gonna cook it no matter what. And so Celia sees the pie, and she bets on it because she loves those pies. She ate a whole one when she was upset.
Yes.
So they are announcing the winners. And there's a minx fur coat that Mr. Thielen, who is Skeeter's dad, bought for his wife.
Yeah.
And she's shocked. Sweet. She's shocked that he did that.
Sweet moment.
Yeah. And then they go on to the bake sale, the baked goods. And Minnie's pie, of course, was the highest priced one. It had the most money bid on it. And you just see Miss Walters smirking and trying so hard not to laugh. So you know she did something. And they announced that Hilly won Minnie's pie. And Hilly's like, well, that's funny. I didn't bid on anything. And Celia comes up and is like super excited that Minnie won the pie because she didn't know that Hilly was a fan of Minnie's pies. And Hilly thinks that Celia is making fun of her. She thinks that Minnie told Celia about the terrible awful, which she hasn't told her yet. And Celia accidentally rips her dress, and Hilly is very rude to her, and Celia starts to get upset, and she's drunk. So when you're upset and drunk, you can't control it, so she starts to get sick, and she tries to run from the room, but she throws up right behind Hilly.
Oh, that was great.
And Miss Walters goes, napkins! And, then you find out, as they're leaving, Miss Walters is carrying out the pie, and Hilly's like, what are you doing with that pie? Get rid of that. And she's like, why would I get rid of it? I spent good money on this pie. And Hilly just kind of looks at her, and she's like, what? And Miss Walters goes, well, I may have trouble remembering my age or where I live or something like that.
My own name.
My own name, that's it. My own name or where I'm from. But the two things I can remember clearly are my own daughter throwing me in a nursing home and the fact that she ate Minnie Jackson's shit. And that was a pretty much direct quote.
It's pretty close.
That I did not write down.
That's a close one. I have it right here.
Yeah. And then we jump to Miss Celia. She is packing up a suitcase, talking to Minnie, and she's saying that she can't do it. She needs to go back to Sugar Ditch. She should have never come here. She can't put Johnny through this. She doesn't know why she has a table for 12. She couldn't get 2 people over if she tried. And she's just basically feeling sorry for herself, which I can understand. People have been rude to her the whole entire time. Her only friend is her maid.
Yeah.
And Minnie's like, first she sits Celia down and tells her about the pie. Then she says, after that, Celia's like, thank you for telling me that. That makes more sense now. And then she says that if you leave Mr. Johnny, then Hilly wins. She beat you and she beat me. And then the next thing, the book is done, except for Skeeter's story. And Minnie and Aibileen are like oogling it. They're like so fascinated. They're like, so many pages, so nice and neat. It looks great. And so she leaves their house, and she goes and asks her mother about Constantine and what really happened. And her mom's just so tired of her asking this question that she's like, okay, I'm just gonna tell you. So she got a special honor in the DAR, the Daughters of the American Revolution. I know that from Gilmore Girls.
I know that from the Golden Girls.
So she has quite a few members of the Daughters of the American Revolution, their chapter, even their president is there. And she's having it at her house. And at this point, Constantine is quite old, and she's very slow. And she's starting to forget how to do her job. She's serving on the right side instead of the left.
Yeah.
And the lady's, like, kind of motioning her head. And she's mad, but she's, like, motioning her head. She can tell that she's older. And then Rachel, her daughter, comes to the door and wants to talk to her mom because she got in early from Chicago. And the ladies of the DA are like, ooh, why is she here? And all pissy. And Miss Thielen actually likes Rachel.
Yes.
But she's got all these people here who they're not accustomed to this type of behavior. So they're telling her one thing, she's thinking another thing, she's seeing another thing on this other people's face. She's like, I have no idea what to do. But if I don't do what the DAR ladies say, they could take my honor away. They could take my reward, my medal that I just...
She cares more about the status than anything.
And so she tells Rachel to go around to the kitchen and that she can see her mom in a little bit. And she closes the screen door, and Rachel just kind of stands there like, what are you doing? Like, you've never acted like this with me before. And so then Rachel just comes in the house because she's accustomed to doing that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'm doing what I'm told, but I'm going to see my mama first.
Yeah.
And so Constantine's like trying to get her to go to the kitchen and that she'll be there in a minute. And Miss Thielen like yelling at Rachel to get out of the house, and then the DAR lady says something, and then at this point Miss Thielen pretty much has no choice but to fire Constantine. And Constantine is just so shocked by the fact that she's actually going to fire her over this that she doesn't even know what to say.
Pretty speechless.
Yeah. So her and Rachel leave, and they're staring in the screen door. Miss Thielen closes the glass door, and then it cuts back to Skeeter and Miss Thielen talking, and Skeeter's mad that she didn't tell her that she fired her, and she said that she needed to go find Constantine, but Miss Thielen says that they sent Carlton up to Chicago to find her, and she had already passed away.
Yeah.
And Skeeter is devastated. She's very upset. She doesn't know what to think because this woman raised her. She raised her more than her mother did, but she was a constant influence on everything because her mother thought she was as ugly as the boys thought she was.
Yeah.
And so Skeeter drives off and she goes to Constantine's house, and she's got the memory of herself and Constantine's braiding her hair, sitting on their front porch. Next thing you see is the books hit the shelves.
It says, it's like this blue cover, and it says The Help.
Yep.
By Anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a dove?
Like a paper dove? Like
Yeah.
a origami type dove?
Kind of, yeah. That's what it looked like. It was like some kind of dove.
Mm-hmm. Miss Stein said that this is the worst advance she's ever seen on a book, and they only printed like 1,000 copies. And then you see Miss Walters at the nursing home reading it to a group, and she happens to be reading the part about Hilly eating the shit pie. And she like stops reading halfway through, and then it cuts to her on the phone telling Hilly about the book because she really wants Hilly to read the book.
You should really read this book.
Yeah. And then Aibileen and Minnie are in the grocery store. They're in the white grocery store. The only time they are allowed to shop in the white grocery store is if they're in their maid's uniform, because that indicates that they're shopping for their boss.
Yep.
And they see this lady at the grocery store reading The Help, and they just kind of cower around back behind this.
They hide as best as they can.
Yeah. And then the next thing you see is Stuart stomping off on the porch because he is mad at Skeeter about the book. She had just told him about the book. And he's like, you should have told me while you were writing it. Everything is fine here. And she's like, no, it's not fine. Like, I wouldn't have done it if it was fine. And they break up. He storms off. And then you see everybody reading it. Literally everybody reading it. And Elizabeth is telling somebody on the phone, well, have you got to that part yet that I was telling you about? Oh, no, don't skip ahead. And then you see Hilly in bed reading it. And she gets to the part about the pie. And she loses her shit.
She just starts screaming. I'm like,
Yes, it's hilarious. And then they're at Bridge Club. Hilly has a cold sore on her lip from all the stress of the book.
Yep.
From finding out about it. That it was actually about Jackson. And Hilly is adamantly denying that this is Jackson. She's like, this is not about Jackson. Oh, then we see Hilly checking the mail. And she gets something from Celia Foote. And this is slightly different in the book, so I was looking for it and I had a hard time finding it. But Celia sent her a check for the children's benefit for $200. And on the line where you put the person's name, it says "To Slice Hilly." But in the book, it's in the memo part, so that's why I was looking for it. But I just thought that was hilarious that they actually included that, and Hilly just rips it up. She's all pissed off. So then she's drinking and driving, heading out to Skeeter's, speeding down this dirt road, looking all messed up, cold sore and all, hair all messed up, no makeup on.
She just goes and just chews Skeeter out.
Yeah. And Skeeter's like, well, you can't prove it. And she's like, careful, Hilly. That's chapter 6, I think she said.
Right.
She's like, careful, Hilly. That's chapter 6. Don't want to give yourself away now. And she's like, Hilly's gonna go inside and talk to Miss Thielen, but Miss Thielen is like at the screen door and comes out. And she goes off on Hilly because she finally has realized what's been going on and why Skeeter hasn't been with them. And she finally realizes because Skeeter's been working on this. And then
her mom read the book. She read the book.
Yep, her mom did read the book as well. And she realized it was about Jackson because of the Constantine story, because she was almost crying when she was reading it. And at this point, after Hilly leaves, Skeeter and her mom, this is the closest they are throughout the entire movie. And her mom says that they're going to go shopping to get her clothes for New York. And Skeeter's like, well, how'd you know about New York? She's like, well, someone from New York, Miss Stein called from New York saying about the job.
Yeah, because she got a job at
Harbor Road Publishing. She's encouraging her to go because her own health is on the uptick and she just wants the best for her daughter, and she knows that this is what her daughter wants. So she's encouraging Skeeter to go. And then the next thing you see is Minnie carrying some groceries up to Celia's house, and a red car comes up behind her, and it's Mr. Johnny, and she just kind of like halfway turns around and then starts booking it, screaming for Celia.
She's like, oh my god, Miss Celia!
Because she thinks at this point she's gonna die.
She's like, oh my god, Mr. Johnny's home. And he's like, hold up.
Yeah.
He's like, I've known.
He's like, you could have put corn pone on the table the first night instead of fried chicken and okra. You kind of gave herself away. And then, so they go up to the house, and Celia has cooked this feast. And she just wants to thank Minnie for being there for her and helping her out, because she's been getting better. Whatever sickness she has, she's been getting better. And she cooked all this for Minnie because Minnie has been her best friend.
Yeah.
Nobody else would come, and Minnie continually came back every day, and Minnie started treating her better and better. Because she did have an attitude with her the first bit, but later on she started caring more for her. And then we hear via Aibeleen's voiceover that gave Minnie the courage to leave Leroy. And my guess, it doesn't exactly say in the movie where they go.
In the book.
In the book it does say, but my guess more would be that they moved into the pool house in the movie, because that seems like something they would do movie-wise. But in the books, she goes and lives with her sister.
Octavia?
Yeah, Octavia. Which is funny because that's the actress's name. So then Minnie and Aibileen are running into church because they're late. She's like, why are we late? She's like, why aren't you singing? She's like, shut up, we're late. And They walk in and everybody starts clapping, including Minnie. And then Aibeleen's like, okay, well, I'll clap too.
I'll clap. I don't know what's going
She's
on.
like, who we clapping for? And then the lady goes, honey, we clapping for you. And she's like, oh. And so the minister like invites her up and presents her with a signed copy of the help, because she knows that Aibileen could not put her name in it because she would get in trouble. So literally everyone in the church and in the town
signed it.
Signed it for them. And there's actually 2 copies. It didn't quite show you that. It looked like there was only one, but there's actually 2 copies. One for Aibileen and one for Skeeter. So they go and present the book to Skeeter. Minnie and Aibileen do. Skeeter tells them about New York, but how she's not going to take it because she doesn't want to leave Aibileen and Minnie in this disaster that she's helped create. Yeah. And Minnie's like, you best, like, you never, like,
there's nothing left here for you.
Yeah, there's nothing left here for you. Me and Aibileen, we're going to take care of each other, so you need to take care of yourself. Plus, you're never going to get another man in this town, so you don't need to walk your white butt to New York. You need to run it.
Like, so much sass.
And so Skeeter actually decides that, yeah, she's going to go. And then the next thing you see is Aibileen is carrying in groceries to Elizabeth's house. And she walks in, and there is Elizabeth holding Little Man, and then Hilly is there as well. And Hilly is upset about the book, but she can't get Aibileen on the book. So she's saying that Aibileen stole 3 silver pieces from the set that Elizabeth borrowed from her last week.
Yeah.
And Aibileen's like, I didn't steal any silver. She's like, did you check May Mobley's bed? Did you check the kitchen? She's like, you're going to blame a child? So Hilly fires her, even though it's not technically her position to fire her, but Elizabeth isn't going to say anything. May Mobley comes in. Her throat is hurting. And so she says she's going to go, okay, I'll go get the cough syrup. And Hilly's like, she can take care of her own children. And so she goes to grab Little Man while Elizabeth goes to get cough syrup. But Hilly kind of steps in between and grabs him, or like stops her. And so Elizabeth just carries Little Man into the kitchen with her.
Yep.
And then Hilly's like, I may not be able to put you in jail for what you wrote, but I can put you in jail for being a thief. And then Aibileen goes off. She's like, I know something about you. Don't you forget that. And from what I hear, there's lots of time to write in prison. I know plenty of stories about you, and so on and so forth. And then Hilly says something else. I don't quite remember what it is. And then, nobody's gonna believe you. She's like, I don't know. I've been told I'm a good writer. I've already sold a lot of books. And
it's like you just want to do like the Snap Z or something. It's like, oh.
Yeah, and then she's also like, she says that Hilly is a godless woman, and Hilly gets all upset and goes in the other room crying. Elizabeth's like, you need to leave now. So this is the point where Elizabeth should have stepped up and been like, this is my maid. You don't tell me what to do. But she doesn't have her own balls. So
she got none whatsoever. I feel like she's just a puppet.
Yeah. So Aibileen is saying goodbye to May Mobley, and May Mobley doesn't want her to go, and she's asking her if she's going to go take care of another little girl. And
she's like, no, you're my last one.
Yep, the last one. I'm going to retire. And she's like, you need to remember everything I taught you. And that's when the you is kind, you is smart, you is important comes back. May Mobley says it to her. And then Aibileen leaves. And as she's leaving, you see Hilly in the other room crying because she's so upset because she knows Aibileen was right. And Aibileen is just walking, leaving, and May Mobley is bawling her eyes out, banging on the window for like, for Aibileen to come back because that's her mom.
Yeah, it's like, you're my real mama.
Then there's the narration of God says we need to love our enemies. It's hard to do, but it can start by telling the truth. No one had ever asked me what it was like to be me, but telling the truth gave me the strength. Treelor always said we were going to have a writer in the family. I guess it's going to be me. Mm-hmm. And that is the end of the movie. And that's the end of the movie. Great song at the end of the movie. I love that song.
She literally said that as she got up and...
Well, I had to start cooking dinner, but... Yeah.
So yeah, that's The Help.
Yep, that is The Help.
The music, there was some really good music in here.
Yeah, they had a lot of the 60s music.
I loved the June Carter Cash and Johnny Cash song. Oh, that's just a classic.
Just all the music was perfect for exactly what was happening when it was happening. Like, I love the music in this film.
It's a great soundtrack. It really is.
There's stuff by everyone. Ray Charles, Bo Diddley, Dorothy Norwood, like
Frankie Avalon, Four Seasons.
Yeah, there's so many. Bob Dylan. Mary J. Blige. She's the one singing the last song. The Living Proof is what it's called. And then the trailer song is Change the World.
Oh.
So, a couple things from the book. Like, I wrote down 4 things that I thought were important that they left out.
Go.
The major thing that they left out that is very important is Constantine's daughter is... she is Constantine's daughter, and her father was white. So, she came out white.
It's like lighter skinned.
Yeah, very light-skinned black. Like, they called her yellow in the book.
Yeah, so I do remember that.
So she looked like a white person instead of black, like she actually
gave
was.
her up for adoption.
And she did because people were always looking at her like, why do you have that child? That's not your child.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is my child. So she had to give her up for adoption. And then when Rachel comes back, she had never visited her before.
No.
She found out where Constantine worked. And instead of barging in on the DAR party, she was like acting like she was part of the DAR.
Yes.
And that, to me, is more of a reason to react the way Miss Thielen reacted than what happened in the movie. I wish they had done it the way the book said.
Sure.
Because it made way more sense. Another big one that I think was a lot of character building between Celia and Minnie was... Minnie hates drunks. Absolutely hates them. Because her father was a drunk, and her husband is becoming a drunk. And she believes most of the way through the book that Celia is a drunk because she goes upstairs and she has these bottles, and Minnie found the bottles, and it looked like whiskey.
But it wasn't.
It was a remedy for her sickness, like something to help the pregnancy catch.
Yes.
And she didn't know that, so Minnie was mad at Celia, and then she finally confronted Celia about it, and Celia's like, no, this is what it actually is, and that helps their character build. And then another very profound moment that I wish they had put in, because it would not have taken a lot, was Minnie and Celia are at their house, at Celia's house, and this man is outside, and he's butt naked.
Oh, yeah.
And he's giving himself a happy, and I'm not saying that. And he turns around and sees them, and then he tries to get into the house and is like threatening them. So Minnie goes out to like chase him off, but then he gets a hold of the the fire poker, I think it is, and starts attacking Minnie. And Celia runs out and attacks him.
Yeah, that was
Celia
sweet.
protects Minnie. That shows you how much that Celia cares about Minnie. And it also, when Minnie goes out to protect Celia, it shows how much both of them care, and I just wish that they had included that, because it would have been more for their character building together. And then you get a little bit of Skeeter and Stuart's relationship, but they do have a very big relationship building. They do get engaged right before he finds out about the book.
Yes.
So, that's why he was so mad, is because he thought that he could trust her, and then he finds out that he couldn't trust her. And that's why he's so mad. Those are the 4 huge things that I was like, those, I think. The relationship between the two of them, I didn't really need it, but that is something that's very prominent in the book.
Yeah, that's true.
Any comparisons from the book for you?
It's been a while since I've read the book, so I can't say too much.
That's all right. I think I hit on the main points that they missed.
I think so.
There's not really anything else.
Alright, so some trivia.
Yes.
So, the director and the book author, Catherine Stockett, were childhood friends in Jackson, Mississippi.
That's awesome.
They were friends, and so that's why she got him to direct it.
That's cool.
The book was rejected over 60 times before it was published.
I can see why.
I can too. And of course, it takes place in Jackson, Mississippi. And they actually, when Medgar Evers was assassinated, and they actually used real live, like, news headlines and all of that.
Yeah, I was gonna say those looked pretty real.
Those were all real.
And his the funeral service for
that was real.
Kennedy.
All real.
Because I've actually seen that before, so that's definitely exactly how it happened. And then one that I found out because when I went on a trip, I was listening to the audiobook, and this was about a month ago. Octavia Spencer, who plays Minnie Jackson, also reads Minnie's chapters in the audiobook.
Yes.
I thought that was super cool.
She does the narration for the audiobook. And the last one I have is Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays Hilly. She was pregnant during the filming.
Yeah, I could see that.
You can see it a little bit.
Yeah. They try to hide it with the dresses that she has, but you can still see it a little bit.
You can still see it.
Alright. So, where it has been on the list before. 2010 it wasn't out, so it couldn't have been on the list. 2012 it was not on the list either. In 2014 it was number 234. In 2016 it was number 247. And then as of today when we are recording, it is number 237.
Which means it jumped.
Yep, it has gone up 2 spaces from when we made our list. So previously number 239 was in 2010 Kick-Ass from 2010. And then in 2012 Battleship Potemkin. When I first looked at that, I thought they spelled Pokemon wrong.
From 1925?
Yep, but I didn't know. I was just looking at the name. I didn't look at the year yet.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that movie is from 1925. And then the 2014 list, Suede's from 2004. The 2016 list, Chak de India from 2007. And then also from 2007, on the list currently at 239, is The Bourne Ultimatum.
Which is coming up.
Yes, we do have that one on our list. Number 233.
Yes, that should be
6 movies away.
That one is the third of a trilogy.
Fuck. I've never really liked those movies.
I know, Kat, I know. I've watched them, so I'll have to watch them again.
I've watched a couple of them, but I don't think because I watched the first one and I was kind of bored, so I was like, watch part of the second one, and then didn't want to watch the third one, so.
She's like, meh.
Yeah. So, favorite line?
Favorite lines? I have a couple. I mean, you got Minnie's Eat My Shit.
Yes.
Then, I said one already in there. When it's, Skeeter's mom is talking to her at the very end, and she says,
yes.
Courage sometimes skips a generation. And I love that line.
You didn't finish it. Courage.
Thank you for bringing it back to our family.
I feel like that is very important.
It is. And then my last one, of course, is the classic. He was kind. He was smart. He was important.
Yep. So, my first one is you was kind, you was smart, you was important, because that happens very beginning of the movie. It happens 3 times throughout the movie. The very beginning, when she's trying to comfort her after the toilet incident, and then at the end. And then when Skeeter is trying to get her job, and the guy is reading her resume, and he's like reading off the stuff. It's like, damn girl, don't you have any fun? She goes, is that important? I love that line. And then Minnie making fun of Miss Hilly. She looks like the winning horse at the Kentucky Derby, all flowers and bows. So when they're making fun of Miss Hilly and Miss Elizabeth. And then when Hilly is talking about the bathrooms, Skeeter's like, maybe we should just build you a bathroom outside, Hilly. I love that line. Of course, the one really good line that we get from Constantine about the Am I gonna believe all the bad things them fools say about me today? That line. You my real mama, Aiby. It's hard because I write down so many quotes because I want to talk about them. And then I have to decide which ones I actually want to... the courage one, I wrote that one down. Those I just wanted to talk about. And then my absolute... Well, wait, hold on. I have one more. When Mae Mobley... When Aibileen is talking about how Elizabeth doesn't change Mae Mobley's diaper, she says, lonely world if a mama doesn't think their child is pretty. And Skeeter's like, yeah.
Skeeter, she gets it.
Yeah, she understands exactly. And then my very favorite line from the movie is when Stuart is drunk at dinner and practically making fun of Skeeter. And he says something real stupid. And she goes, I'm sorry, but were you dropped on your head as an infant or were you just born stupid? I love that line. It makes me laugh every time.
It's a good line. Which one?
I love them.
I know, so I feel like I should decide this one. I would say between the you is kind, you is smart, you is important, or the courage sometimes skips a generation.
I think the courage one, because everybody does the you is kind, you is smart, you is important.
That's a good one. That reminds me all the time. One. Okay, so let me get the whole thing for you. So, courage sometimes skips a generation.
I have it written down.
Of course you do. I was going to be nice and pull it up for you, but...
I have it written down.
Since you know
and plus I know the lines.
It's like, she knows this entire movie. If I could ask her to, like, recite this film from beginning to end, she probably can.
Yeah, probably.
And I think there's very few movies that I can do that with, but this isn't one of them. So
I have 2 more on the list that I can do it with.
I can do that with Wizard of Oz, which is coming up.
I can almost do it with Wizard of Oz.
Oh, I can. Yeah. Wizard of Oz, Beauty and the Beast, we just did a while back. Yeah.
I can do it with Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
Which are way, way further on the list. Because, you know, Batman.
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 I love Batman. Alright, so what is your rating?
Alright, I already know cats.
Yes.
But I will give this a 9 because it is very solid casting.
Yes.
Very solid. Like, when I was reading the books, I was trying to get these mental pictures in my head of what these characters would look like. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the movie, I'm like, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. I saw the movie first, and then I found out that it was an actual book, and I read it, and I was thrilled. I was like, if I had read this first, this is what I would have imagined. So I love the casting. I love how everyone portrays their characters pretty much perfectly. I'm not really bothered by much that from leaving it out of the book. So I gave this a 10 because this is literally one of my favorite movies. I watch this all of the time.
All the time.
And I don't have to put my rating in because it's already there.
Yes.
Can't do it again. Alright, so our next film is In the Mood for Love from 2000. It is a Chinese film.
Chinese.
And it is also a romance film. And we are running a contest, still running the contest. 1 person out of 10 to leave a positive written review will be randomly selected to join us for a movie of your choice. A movie on the list, not any of our events. If you could email or message us with a screenshot of your review on the iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you can leave a review, that would be very helpful. And also, where to find us.
Alright, so you can find us on Twitter,
Yep.
Facebook, and Instagram at Cat and Jess Talk the Best. You can email us at catandjesstalkthebest250@gmail. Mm-hmm. And our website is catandjesstalkthebest.podbean.com.
Yep, and you can find the show iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, pretty much all of the little ones. I don't know what they're all called. So, and our opening music from past and present episodes are Audio Binger, and you can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website is audiobinger.net. And just a heads up, Our next episode will be coming out in the middle of the week next week because that is our Harry Potter episode. And it's actually going to be 3 because we kind of went overboard.
So it's the first 3 Harry Potter books, and you get 4
movies.
Harry Potter fans in a room talking about Harry Potter. We kind of just go off.
Yeah. So I'm very sorry. If you love Harry Potter, then you will probably love those episodes. If you don't love Harry Potter, then I probably do not want you to listen to that because you would be listening to 3 hours of us talking about Harry Potter.
The
first movie.
The first one, Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes. So those will be coming out next. And then after that will be In the Mood for Love, our normal episode on Friday. So make sure you check both of those out.
Yep.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye. She has a porg.
I do have a porg. He's so cute.